Here he is, former Vancouver Canuck and TSN hockey analyst, the one and only Mr. Frank Corrado.
How's your double take, Frank? Can you do a good double take? Comic double take?
I don't know. I don't know. Try not to. I got tight neck these days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't want any injuries here. No.
Frank, did you know that Blake is theatrically trained?
I have not.
He is.
I was unaware.
No, he was going to make it as a child actor. He's got the 8.5 by 11 glossies headshots.
I'll show them to you.
Nice. See, yeah.
I'll
with the
sign
head
one for you.
tilt just so, Frank. The head tilt is just so.
I can't wait. Yeah, you should bring them when you're on location. Are you not signing autographs doing MLS games? Hey, that's Blake
just
Price.
too busy. Just too busy for the people.
Yeah. Luke Hughes has signed long-term in New Jersey. We're asking on our Redwoods Golf Course poll question whether that should make Canucks fans more pessimistic about Quinn's future here. What do you think?
I don't think it has anything to do with Quinn's future, really. Like that deal was going to get done. That's just the nature of him being an RFA and their situation. Like I kind of looked at it this summer with the Luke Hughes deal. Like never for a second did I think that was in jeopardy or they were going to move him or there was going to be something where like there was a falling out. Just felt like, those typical RFA negotiations where eventually both sides will hit a certain pressure point and they're going to come to their senses and there's going to be a deal on the table that makes sense for both sides. And that's the case now. It more just felt like a formality more than anything else. So that doesn't accentuate anything that could be or not happening to Quinn Hughes and his future.
Do you never thought that a 3-year deal, sync him up with Jack, was on the table here? To me, this is the worst case scenario of the two because I thought there was a slim chance at a bridge deal that might have offered a lifeline for Canucks fans. And to me, it would have put the Hughes family more into the catbird seat. They would have been able to put some pressure on a number of different fronts. This just makes a pretty clean path for a Quinn Hughes departure to join his brothers. You didn't think that a 3-year deal was on the table at all?
I guess I was more thinking of it this way. Okay, Jack Hughes is independent from Luke Hughes and independent from Quinn Hughes, meaning they all have 3 separate bank accounts, and it's not just one. It's not getting compiled into one thing. So they all have to look out for their own futures in their own ways. And what Jack wants to do with his contracts, it could be different than Luke. Like we don't really know, and it could be different than Quinn. But I think the fact that like there's been injury history, and I think when you have an opportunity to get certain securities, it's hard to say no to that. Like it's hard to turn your nose up and really play the I'm gonna bet on myself and try and maximize my earnings. Like there's Leon Draisaitl didn't even want to do that. And every year we're talking about like this guy could win the Rocket and he's one of the best players in the world, like top 2 guys. So it really depends what your appetite is. And I guess what I'm saying is like 3 brothers all could have 3 different appetites for what they're willing to risk on a contract, and all have their own bank accounts that they have to take care of, regardless of the fact that, perhaps in the future they would like to play together.
At that price point, and given Kirill Kaprizov makes $17 million a year right now, what's the number for Quinn Hughes when it comes in 2 years' time?
Well, it's going to be huge, and Cale Makar is going to have to, like the Cale Makar number, the Quinn Hughes number. It's going to be massive. I think, like with Makar and Hughes, you can kind of lump them together because they're kind of like 1 and 2, 1A, 1B, however you want to go about it. It's going to be the new market-setting benchmark for the defense position, and it's We had the Drew Doughty and we had the Erik Karlsson, and those are big money, but these are the guys that are the guys right now. Like I think with the Doughty deal, you were a lot of you were paying Drew Doughty because he's a good player, but you were also paying for what he had done for you previously. Same deal with Erik Karlsson, and now these guys are going to step up to the plate really in their primes, like kings of the defense position in the NHL. Like this should be a market kind of setting tone that both these guys have. The thing is, like I don't know if Makar is going to have. I guess he might. He might have the same leverage that Kirill Kaprizov has, but it's not going to be 17 million. But the Kaprizov deal is so interesting because the Minnesota Wild are just so far away from being what they could be if they don't have Kaprizov. So they have no choice. They have to pay him. Now ask yourself, if you're Colorado, do you have to pay Cale Makar? Well, you probably should. Like if you're Vancouver, you're probably willing to go really high on Quinn Hughes.
Is it 20? Is it 20 million? Do you go to 20 million? Does it, like, that's the other way to try to keep Quinn Hughes, is just give him several $1 million more per year than the New Jersey Devils can. Do you go to $20 million a year for Quinn Hughes? You got to be talking
about it. Like, I think you have to at least be talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy number, but given the circumstances and given, like the market, you could justify it, is what I'm like. You could justify going that high in that situation.
Here's my scenario, Frankie. After underachieving for a couple of seasons, because I was one who had drank the Kool-Aid on the New Jersey Devils, I thought they were going to be an excellent hockey team over the last couple of years. Really like their collection of forwards. I look at them now, and quite frankly, I mean, unless you're telling me Dougie Hamilton is bouncing all the way back and Simon Nemec is really stepping up, in which case they may have one of the best defense scores in the league, I'm not overly impressed. Do you think there's any chance this Devils team could go south and force some sort of retool after not really hitting expectations the last couple of years?
I don't see it as a team that could be going south and having to retool. I see it as a team that has a lot of their pieces in place and is likely going to get to like a certain threshold and is going to continue to try and throw stuff at the wall and see if they can get past it. Like, and like New Jersey's biggest issue is the fact they are so injured every year. Like it's crazy. The amount of man games lost to very important players on their team. So for me, it's harder to get a true read on how good the team can be because they're just never really all available at the same time. But they're going to be a good team in the regular season. And it's kind of like, it's similar to what Sheldon Keefe had to go through in Toronto, where you have a lot of these really skilled players. Now you don't have the same cap crunch in New Jersey. You have a lot of nice team friendly deals with some term attached to it. But it's like, how do you translate what they do in the regular season into playoff success? Like, does that style of play translate? And New Jersey's got a lot of skilled players, guys like Hughes and Jesper Bratt and Dougie Hamilton, and there's guys there that can give you something. But I kind of see it like there might be a certain level that they can get to, and that might be it. But they're just going to keep trying and trying and trying because they have the guys in place. And if not, like if they do decide to make changes, then I don't know if it's like if you want to call it a retool, sure, but it might have to be like one of those hockey trades, franchise changing trades down the road. But they're not they haven't been healthy enough to get to the point where you decide to do something like that yet.
Mm-hmm. Elias Pettersson and a defenseman for Jack and Luke Hughes. Anyways. On the Vancouver Canucks, have you caught what Cootes and Lekramacky have done out here, Frank?
Yeah.
Over the weekend, the preseason games, like the kids are all right out here.
Yeah, the Cootes kid, the one of the things that stands out to me with the way he plays is he really moves his feet through checks and through contact, and he's got like some craftiness to him where like, in almost a way like Garland-esque, like he'll work to get under a guy's arms and like around certain guys. Like he's not letting, just if I'm defending him, just because I've like got positioning on you and now I might get through your arms and you think I've cut you off, he's not accepting that. Like he's kind of working through all that, which I think is a great trait to have for a young player, especially playing against men and older guys and most likely guys that are stronger than him. So that's been something that's been evident for him. And that's something he's got to keep, right? Like that's going to go towards his motor and his engine. And that's going to be part of the way he plays. Lekramaki's been good too. It's nice to see Philip Hedl like kind of finding a little something with him. So yeah, like it's been a good showing for some young guys that, like, let's face it, Vancouver, like every team, but Vancouver needs these guys to take another step, because they're relying on, they're relying on some young guys to eventually infiltrate the roster and provide that depth throughout all four lines.
Especially with Nils Höglander lost for 10 to 12 weeks after surgery, Frank. Should that get them back on the market for a forward? Do you revisit Jack Roslovic after this news? What about Lucas Reichel in Chicago, who's available via trade? What says you?
I think what's with the way, like, Lucas Reichel, you would think that it would have worked by now in Chicago. Like, he's a first round pick 5 years ago there. He's had opportunities. Like, there's nothing that tells me you have to bring in Lucas Reichel because you don't think, I don't know, Linus Karlsson or Lek Karamaki or Cootes or whoever can't do the job. Like, there's no upgrade bringing in Reichel as opposed to who you already have in camp. And the crazy thing is, like, Jack Roslovic, everyone's kind of getting dialed in right now. What is he doing? Where's he skating? Like, so you're gonna bring him in. He's gonna have to get up to speed. Like, certain RFAs, guys that are in these, like, contract standstills, they're generally really skilled players. So when they do get back, it's not the end of the world. Like, Jack Roslovic had his best year last year, and so now he's missed 2 weeks. Like, I don't know. I'm not convinced that you have to go outside of the organization right now to fill that. Like, they could probably give the opportunity. And honestly, I would rather see them give the opportunity to a young guy within camp, because I think it sends the wrong message going externally and saying, you know what, thanks for showing up in shape and working hard and doing everything we've said. We're just not going to give you the chance.
And
like,
I'm all for the scratch and wins. I'm all for the scratch and wins, but they did that with Vitaly Kravtsov, and it appears that they lost on the scratch and win prize. He does not seem to be making any noise at camp, but you can't have scratch and wins as your MO, as just your game plan. You do.
Well, they need real producers, not projects right now.
Right, and they tried projects. It didn't work out. So I agree, Frank. You do have to sort of, the guys that you've spent years developing, aren't they most deserving of this shot?
Isn't that hilarious? Like, we always talk about, you got to draft well, right? Then you got to develop them. And then once it's their opportunity to, like, take that next step, you're going to go outside of the organization and take someone else's problem away. Like, it just, I think it sends the wrong message to do that. It tells your young guys that are going to be playing down in Abbotsford, like, you're playing in Abbotsford to catch the attention of other teams, so that at some point you can get claimed on waivers, or if there's a trade, some pro scout has a good book on you. Like, that's what it tells me. I think you have to reward these guys who, by the way, like, deserve to get opportunities within your organization at the NHL level.
What do you want to see from there's 2 games left? Veteran participation. I think we usually see the dress rehearsal on the final game, but for the penultimate game, like the Filipetals of the world, have you seen it? Like, we certainly have seen it up performance-wise, but in terms of just keeping rust off and all that sort of thing, do you want as veteran a lineup as possible for both of these games, or just the finale?
No, I think just the final one. I think there's probably some guys, like, I wouldn't mind if Pettersson played both games. I wouldn't hate that. Like, it's. I think the more reps he gets under his belt and feeling good, it's not gonna hurt him. It's funny. I looked back at an old preseason, like, stats from when I was in the league. It was my last year in Toronto, just to see how many games we all played. So I played 4 preseason games. I didn't realize that Jake Gardner played 6 out of the 8 games that year. And I'm thinking back, I'm like, why would Jake have had to play 6 out of the 8 games? But, like, I don't know, maybe that's just like a coach's decision, and you want a certain veteran to play because, like, and there's also, like, the games played element that you have to keep in mind. But after seeing that, I'm like, you know what, there's nothing wrong with like certain veterans getting a few more reps, because maybe whatever rust they would have had, in the first 5 games of the regular season, they could knock that off a little sooner. So I think if there was one candidate for me, it's not Hughes, it's not Besser, like out of the big boys, it's EP40. Like just play a couple more and really go into the season, hopefully anyways, feeling like you're confident and ready to be a difference maker again.
I meant to ask you about this last week and forgot, so forgive me, because you're our best X's and O's guys, and I want you to be able to explain it to the audience here. But the Canucks have started power play work, and Mike has the graphic there, so we'll be able to show those of you on visual platforms how the Canucks are aligning. Quinn Hughes at the back, walking the line. Jake DeBrusk as the net front guy. Elias Pettersson in his familiar spot on the right flank. Brock Besser in the bumper, and Evander Kane on the other flank. Now, of course, Frank, for many years there, it was JT Miller operating off the left side as a left shot, and it sounds like JT's going to be okay after leaving Rangers practice a couple of days ago, so good for him. Tell me, how is that power play one unit working? Who's operating?
Okay.
What's the aim?
Okay, so this is I like the way the hands. That the first thing that I see when I see this power play one, and Mike, you can keep it up for the time being, is that Pettersson, Hughes, Kane, and DeBrusk are all left-handed, and here's why I like that. Hughes, a lefty, passing to Pettersson, a lefty, gives Pettersson a better chance to blast a one-timer in that spot, because the spin on the puck is better for Pettersson. Like, he can elevate it easier, and if that was a righty passing to Pettersson, it's going to be harder for him to like really zing that one-timer. So that's step one. Step two is this, and we saw this a lot with JT Miller in the Kane spot. So if Kane ever like rounds out high up above the top of the circle and attacks down low, he can do the old like behind the back, just lay it into an area for Hughes to step into a one-timer. But spoiler alert, you also have Pettersson there as the one-timer. So Hughes is very capable of making it seem like he's going to hit it and then slide it over to Pettersson, one-timer. So that's two like plays you can have drawn up. The third one that I like is if Hughes, the lefty, is going to go down to the half wall in Pettersson, and he feels like he's got to alleviate pressure, so he now has to go low to DeBrusk. Well, DeBrusk is a lefty, so that works out perfectly because the stick is going to stay on the outside, away from the check of the defenseman, and he can pop it into the middle quickly for a Besser one-timer. So now that's like three viable plays that all work because of the way the hands of the stick are. And then, of course, you have like a, through the seam and DeBrusk back toward to Kane. But the way that the sticks all line up there, I think there's a lot you can do. And it all kind of goes through Hughes and Pettersson to make it happen.
One follow-up, because I don't imagine you're going to have much of Evander Kane operating this on the left side with the puck on his stick for long periods of time. If you put the right shot Lekkerimäki in that spot.
Or Garland, for that matter.
Well, but Lekkerimäki can really shoot the puck. Garland is more short area.
So to answer that, it depends on how much leeway you're going to give your first power play unit in regards to how much you want Lekkerimäki on the ice. I'd imagine you want him on the ice, Lekkerimäki, right? So you're probably going to give your first power play unit.
Well, we're just sitting here thinking
minute 10.
Oh, I think the whole I mean, you see NHL teams today, it's damn near the whole thing,
minute
Frank.
40 generally, yeah.
But
the thing that
no, I'm only asking that because if Lekkerimäki is going to make the team and he's looked good and the Höglander injury means more goals, like, I think you surely have to use him on the power play. He's probably the best shot on the team, or he's top 3 on the team, right?
So in the same way that Hughes, a lefty, passing to Pettersson, a lefty, is better for Pettersson's one-timer, Hronek passing to Lekkerimäki for his one-timer, the puck is spinning the same way. So righty to righty is better than lefty to righty in that spot. So I can reason with the fact that you would want to have him on the second unit for now. Also keep in mind, like, he's a young player, and you almost, with some of these young guys, want to just throw them one thing at a time that you want them to really focus in on, right? And I'll give you an example, like last year in Montreal with Lane Hudson. He didn't get the first power play right away, even though everyone who watched was like, he's the best power play guy. But Marty St. Louis said this guy, he just needs to focus on 5-on-5 play and his reads and his decisions he's going to make with the puck, and eventually we'll get there. And sure enough, he did, and he never looked back. Well, so for Lek Hiramaki, 5-on-5 play is going to be important. How you play on the wall, getting pucks out of your zone, all that's going to be important. And once that gets to a certain level where it's more like clockwork, let's say, then maybe you add a little more and give him the first power play unit. It's a long year, and guys get hurt. I just think that's where he would be starting now, and there's probably a good chance at some point he ends up on that top unit, but not right away.
Kane's got to shoot though, right? Like I just wonder if he's just sort of in between. Like vintage Kane, 28-year-old Evander Kane, sure. I just wonder what he does there right now. Like Connor Garland's the second best creator on the team besides Quinn Hughes. Despite the fact he doesn't have a notable shot, him creating from that flank, to me, that's the closest to JT Miller that they've got.
Yeah. The other thing that I think, with Evander Kane being there is pucks that are like rimmed around on the dasher, like on the power play. Sometimes when things are scrambly, it just ends up on the yellow. The fact that like he's big, he can use his body and kind of like shield it, pick it clean, and get it to the middle into like Besser, and then you can get into your setup. I think that is another thing that you like having Evander Kane on. It might not necessarily be about him shooting off the half wall, but coming up with pucks, that's a pretty big deal for power plays that want second and third opportunities.
Yeah, and as we've mentioned too, like Kane and DeBrusk are a little interchangeable in those spots too. Yeah. If you wanted to go down that road. You've made us smarter, as you always do, each and every Wednesday. Thank you, Frank Corrado. Till next week.
All right, boys. Have a good one.